Hey, what's up guys? This is Ben with Monumental Heart Media, and today I'm here with Brian with the Mortgage Fellas, and he's gonna tell us a little bit about his business. Brian, so tell me about your business. How long have you been established? Tell us that story.
Oh, yeah, man. Thank you, Ben, for having me. First of all, man, I'm pretty excited to be here. We've been talking about this for a while.
I know.
So
We tried this like 2 or 3 months ago, and it just
yeah.
didn't work out. But hey, you know what? We got everything established. We have a way better setup, and I'm excited, brother.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited, man. Thank you for having me. But to answer your question, man, how I got started in the business, it's something that I always relate back to relationships. Before I got into mortgage, I was actually working at the bank, and it all happened just by the connections that I had with people. So I got into banking same way. My barber knew a guy. The guy got me into banking. And when I was in banking industry, I was actually going to college at the time.
What were you going to school for?
I was trying to be a financial advisor.
Okay.
Right. So I knew I wanted to do something with like serving, right? When it came to like money wise or something like that, but I didn't know exactly what route I wanted to take. So when I was going to college, I did an internship at Fidelity, and I found out what the financial advisor made at that time. And she was like 32 years old. And I was thinking about it like, man, this is way too long for me to be able to help out my family. I grew up with my mom. She was a single mother, and she had me and my younger brother. So I was trying to like find something like a now solution, right? Yeah. And I remember one day I was helping out a client with his checking, actually with a mortgage, because I was a banker at the bank. But I can only do 20-year mortgages refinances. I couldn't do purchases, or I could do HELOCs. Yeah. And I sent the referral over to the actual mortgage loan officer of the branch. And one day I was just at lunch, and I asked the guy, I was like, yo, man, like, how much are you gonna make off of that referral I just sent from the attorney? He's like, oh, if all the numbers work out right, I'm gonna make like $4,000 off of the commission on them. And my mind just like opened up, boom.
Balling, no big deal.
Yeah, I'm like 18 years old at this time, so I was just like, oh my God, how do I get in? Like, what do I do? I was asking him a million questions, but he really didn't give me direction. Besides, like, I need to stay long term at the bank so the bank can offer me a position. Then I started going on Google pretty much and trying to find like, okay, how do I become a loan officer?
Power of Google, right?
Power of Google, man. And so, but sometimes Google can actually be your worst enemy, because I Googled it. And when you start reading the NMLS, it talks about you need a huge savings account in case you get sued, right? True. I'm like, I don't have that type of money, right? So after that, I was just like, well, let me just apply at places that have mortgage loan officer positions, right? So I landed at AmeriFirst, actually interviewed twice.
And that's where we met, right? The first time?
Yeah, so I ended up working with the first time I ever met you, I was working under a guy, top producer at AmeriFirst, very awesome guys. Like, by like God's grace, dude, I landed there because this dude is one of the most humblest people that I know. Like super wealthy, successful, been in the industry for a long time, and just showed me to always keep my feet grounded, because in this industry, as you know, a lot of people get lost in the material stuff and the money because you can make a lucrative living. But that's how I got my foot in the door, was just Google, like just finding out about the potential. I was already kind of helping out the Latino community though, because I used to work in the Scottsdale branch at the bank. So when I was in the Scottsdale branch, I would handle all the Latinos that would come in, and I would translate them to the loan officer whenever I couldn't do the transaction myself. And that's also where I found that like there's a void for the Latino community, because this was back in 2012, 2013. 2013 was the year, 2013, 2014. And so if you know, we were just recovering from the crash that happened. And a lot of the Latinos, they had that big conception like, you're gonna screw me, pretty much, right? So
well, let's keep it real. Like back then, there was a lot of like no income checks, people were just getting approved, and in the end, like they were getting the subprime loans, and you know, like that movie The Big Short, that pretty much breaks down everything. And I remember because I worked at the bank as well. I was at Wells Fargo, and I remember talking to some mortgages that worked, you know, in 2006, 2007, when all the craziness was happening. And there's literally a story that I heard when there was a guy that got approved that worked at McDonald's, making $1,600 a month, and his mortgage was like $2,100 or something like that, and he couldn't afford his first payment. But there was loan officers out there that weren't, doing their job. They won't explain the products to the people, and they were just signing them up just to get a commission. But I mean, obviously, the market shifted. People are more agents, loan officers. I feel like they're educating their clients more often.
No, yeah, and that's what I found out immediately when I was helping out Latinos. It's like there's a void of trust, right? So how come I can't be that trust factor that when somebody comes to me, they're getting just transparency right off the bat, right? Yeah. I don't sell my clients on hey, you're gonna be able to get your payment super low. You're not gonna. It's realistic expectations. Like, hey, look, your payment, like in today's market, $2,500, right? If you're paying $800 right now or $900 in rent, maybe buying is not the ideal situation for you. Let's work on how about we put a game plan on how to money manage. Because I see you qualify for that $2,000 mortgage payment, but where's the money going, right? What are the expenses that you're spending on?
That's good, man.
So we always try to coach them in that way because it's the right time to buy. It's always going to be different for everybody else, right?
So you're pretty much setting them up for success.
Yes, that's the ultimate goal, right? The worst thing we want is getting a phone call from a client 6 months or a year or two later saying, hey, I can't afford this anymore, right?
No,
Something happened.
That would suck. And I mean, I'm pretty sure your conscience would be like, oh, you're gonna probably
I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
Honestly, that's one of the biggest reasons why you and I are really good friends, because of like your core values. I actually, with that being said, that's going to be my next question. What are your core values and belief as the individual, and then obviously as the mortgage guy?
Yeah, so at the Mortgage Fellas, like the branch that I run, the
Mortgage Fellas, my bad.
Yeah, no, you're good. So the brand itself, what I'm preaching to the guys that are part of us, is always do things with dignity, and always do something that it's gonna make you're gonna be able to sleep at night at the end of the day, right? Like the last thing we want is somebody, like I said, calling you saying they can't afford it. Don't ever do something for the check. Right. As long as you do right by people, the checks are always going to come in regardless. Right. We may have some slow seasons. We might have a booming season, but the core values always do right by the people that we're helping out. And the number one thing that we try to put out all the time is like, put our people first, our nuestra raza, like the end of the day, right? Like let's try to help them, because if there's a stat out there, like I think it's like 8 or 9 out of like 10 millionaires are made through real estate. Right. So when you give these stats to some of these people and you show them that a house is actually a big savings account, they can, put their kids through college, especially if they're first generation. All of these tools that a house can eventually do for you. Is the number one thing that me personally, we try to preach and educate to our clients, but our core values do right by the client always, and do things with integrity. Right?
You know what, that being said, going back to piggyback on your comment, like for example, my first house I bought was pretty much right after the recession happened, and when the market crashed in 2009, I bought my house for like, I don't know, $51,000. A couple years down the line, I sold it, made like $100,000, bought my condo downtown. Now that condo, I bought it in a good time, and I pulled out money. I bought my second home that I currently own, and the condo's in Airbnb now. So I have an asset producing, house, mortgage. I mean, it's a condo, but you get it. So that's the value. So I totally get what you're saying. If people want to, like, if someone's watching this and they don't have no idea what you're talking about, like, tell the people out there, what are your services? Like, what do you do? I know, because like I do real estate and I've been in the industry, but like, let's just pretend that I don't know what you do. What are your services?
Yeah, so my services go above and beyond, let's say, just the mortgage, right? When people come to us, we're putting you for a game plan to be able to potentially buy your house 6 to 9 months down the road. Sometimes it can be sooner than that, right? But pretty much what we're gonna look at is your finances, and make sure that we have a full picture of everything that you currently have in your current situation, because it's gonna vary by person, right? So we're looking at your credit. So we help out people with credit managing as well, right? So if you have bad credit, don't feel ashamed. Give us a call. We can look at your credit, tweak it, and see what needs to be done so you can get to that next tier, so you can be able to purchase if that's a hurdle. If it's debt, right? We help with that as well. Like, what debts do you need to pay off, manage, remove, so you can go ahead and be able to purchase a house. The ultimate goal is for you to get into the home by getting financing, right? Because not everybody's sitting on $300,000, $400,000 to buy a house cash. So the main goal is let's set up a game plan, number one, so you can be able to purchase a house, right? So like I had a lady the other day, she was like, hey Brian, like we're thinking of buying, but like in the summertime, so let's not do the application today. And I was just like, look, I completely understand, but like I don't even know if I can help you in June, July, because I don't know your current situation right now. Right now, I'm not trying to pressure you into buying a house next week. We want to look at your financial picture so we know what we need to work on. That way, when June, July comes next year, you actually approve, because I don't want you to be, calling me in June, we do the app and I'm like, hey, now you can't buy till December or January because you have a ton of mess that we have to clean up, right? So that's the number one thing. Like I always encourage people, don't be afraid to talk to the mortgage guys, because we're here to just help out at the end of the day, right? We want to put a game plan. And when we say we want to help out, we really mean that, because we're going to do things that some lenders aren't doing pretty much for their clients. A lot of people get a bad application and they shred it and throw it to the side, and then the client's like, oh, I never got a call back. I hate hearing stories like that, so we try to make
their loss is your opportunity, man, and you get to serve that person.
Yeah, it's like the saying, one man's trash, another man's treasure.
Yeah,
that's the way we see it, though, at the end of the day. And I got into this to be able to help my community scale. So that I know that not all of our clients are gonna be A credit and have the amazing jobs. It's about doing the hard loans, right? Piecing it together so we can help them.
All right, to wrap this up, guys, as you guys know, Monumental Heart Media we do marketing. I personally love coaching my clients. And if you are an entrepreneur or a business owner, you're gonna hear the term, your call of action. And what that means is, and if you don't know, if you just started a business, what that means is a term that we use when someone is trying to find you, either you have a website, a phone number, find you on social media, we use that term. So with that being said, Brian, what's your call of action? How can people reach you?
Follow us on Instagram, The Mortgage Fellas, at The Mortgage Fellas, and that's DA, not the, so DA Mortgage Fellas. Follow us. They can also reach out to me directly on my social media as well. That's at Arguelles_home loans. And I'm always answering my phone too. So 602-545-9082. Call or text. We can schedule a consultation and they're free. That's the number one thing, because I hear some stories where people are charging. So that's the way to get a hold of me, man.
Sweet, man. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, bro. And I appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me, man.
All right, man. Take care.